we're gonna look into our pockets and be like, okay, how much was the gas when Trump was? And even though it's not a fair comparison because throughout the years a lot of things happen, but that's what's gonna make a difference. Economy, how things are super high right now.
Inflation.
We just looked into the realtor part. House prices are going up. Interests are going up. Food is expensive as fuck now.
If I can, do the early voting because it's just crazy if you're trying to do the same day,
It is.
the last day.
And have you noticed that when you go voting, we usually have in mind who we're gonna pick for a presidential candidate?
That's my thing. I
But
have no
there's-
idea.
Well,
I think I'm going to flip a coin that day.
This is the thing. There's so many other candidates for other things, like local stuff,
Yeah,
that I don't even know what the fuck they are.
I know.
I should know. I should know. That doesn't make. I don't feel proud of this, but
Nobody
we should
knows
know.
though. It's not like
You-
you're the one and you're the one they're not. Nobody knows.
So this is the thing. Here in the United States, I noticed that people vote based,
Party lines.
Yeah.
Among party lines. Yeah.
Just, when we mean parties, either do you believe in the Democratic ideology or do you believe in the Republican one? That's it. They don't give a shit.
No, who it
else is running for mayor of whatever. It's like, oh, I'm Republican. Bah, bah, bah. All Republican. Or I'm Democratic. Okay. Democrat.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just weird. But like you said, what if you don't like any of them? Well, do you still have to vote?
Literally, I think it'll be the first year where I'm just gonna like flip a coin and see what at the end
When
of the
was the
day.
first time you vote?
The first time I voted, I just remember the Bush election a lot. I don't know if it was the first time, but it was, I remember that being
You voted
very
for Al
important.
Gore?
No, I voted back then. I was a Republican
Aye.
because you know what? Bush was talking about immigration reform.
Okay.
He was the first one talking about that. And in my previous life, I was the wife of an immigration attorney, and we were always very concerned about the La Reforma, immigration reform, and it was the Bushes were announcing it, so we were backing them up. But then after Bush's time in the presidency, we turned Democrat. First of all, the immigration reform didn't happen, and it was a mortgage crisis where you realized all the corruption.
Well, that's good. That means that you're actually analyzing what's going on,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And you make a decision based on
the policies and all that.
and what you're going through and if it affects you or do you believe in this shit or not. And that's something different. I think 5 minutes ago I said that most people just vote based on one party, right? Am I this or the other one? And I will die being this one.
Oh,
And
no, you cannot die. Like, you've got to evolve and change. Part of life.
so, yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying change a political party, but certainly things change in life. And you must be able to, like, roll with the punches and be flexible and change if you need to.
That's something when I voted the first time, I was very influenced by my Hispanic community where they were just automatically... and
Was
I'm
it
gonna
what,
say
Democrat?
Okay, yeah, Democratic
Yeah.
Party. It was like, this is who we need to vote for because they support immigration. And this was, for me, was the Bush versus Al
Bush.
Gore.
Yeah.
That was the first time I voted. And
But Bush was pro-immigration reform. I remember
know
that.
But this is the thing. This is the thing. A lot of us don't know the details about certain things,
Right.
and we just go by. And when you're a kid or you're a teenager, you go by literally what either your parents or other people
or
what
your
they tell
university
you. Right?
professors, if they're talking about it and they're Latinos. So, but anyway, let's just talk a little bit about immigration in this electoral year and how divided we are even within our immigrant community based on what has happened with the University of wasn't University of Georgia because she changed to a smaller college, but with Laken Riley.
Oh,
Yeah, and based on that, Biden has gotten a lot of heat from his immigration policies. And I think immigration is going to be a very, very hot topic for this election and the debates, if they decide to debate, because these two, I don't know, they're too old, both of them. Like Trump was caught like last week saying some weird stuff in his speech.
Yeah, he said something about he supports women that carry a baby for 9 months, and if you want to do it earlier than, I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
And he was talking about some languages that nobody knows about. And
yeah, all right. So let's put some context to the Riley case. Unfortunately, this was an Athens resident.
My daughter lives half a mile from where this happens. She is a student as well in Athens. And this really, really came to it shook our community in Atlanta too, because we're so close.
Definitely. Well, it made it to national news. So that was big. So Riley, unfortunately, she died. She was murdered by an immigrant. And we have to say the details on this case. This is a Venezuelan immigrant that crossed the border through El Paso in Texas. And he actually approached the immigration department down there, or the office.
That's how many people that are seeking political asylum do it. It's part of the process, because you have to, in order to have like an alien number, in order to be part of the system, since you're seeking political asylum, is you have to be somehow in the paperwork.
So this guy did it
the normal way, like many
Jose,
do.
And then he was released. And he used to live in New York, and he was getting into some trouble over there already. Then he moved here. He obviously
was
has
it shoplifting?
problems.
I think there was a shoplifting charge, and there was one where he was riding a motorcycle with a kid without a helmet, so endangering a kid.
To fight and shit like that. So this guy already had some issues going on, right? Then he comes here to Georgia with his brother, and they live in Athens, which is a college town. There's a lot of young people there. So this.
And it was a crime of opportunity, I think. It was something where this girl used to always go on her morning runs or jogs.
Yeah, it's a park.
Yeah, was that?
Yeah, a park.
Oh, a park, yes. But she would cross through his apartments. Like she was always, I'm saying it's a crime of opportunity because she was always there at the same time. And she would always go like cut through the apartments where Jose lived, and go into her jog. So I think that's what I heard.
Yeah, no, so she had a routine, a morning routine where she went out running. And then this guy, I don't know, he had to have some, we're going to know later if he had some type of
weapon,
mental disability. Let's put it that way.
Oh my God, yeah. A psychopath at least.
Yeah, something that triggered this. But anyway, so this guy, he stalked Riley. And he was just following her, and then one day he decided he wanted to murder her. So he did.
Probably sexually assaulted her, no?
We don't know the details on that one. But anyways, he did. Then he was caught. He was arrested. It turns out that he was an illegal. He crossed the border illegally. Okay, that's the first thing. You cross the border illegally. Then you can ask for asylum and all this other stuff, whatever. But this Venezuelan dude that made it to Mexico and crossed the border illegally, that's the key. Because now whoever's against immigration is going to be like, okay, we have these issues because illegally they're crossing the border. See what I'm saying? And it made it to...
But then at one point it becomes documented. So it's like it's a very weird gray area.
But the root cause is not that he was seeking asylum. The root cause is that he crossed illegally. The root cause of this whole discussion of immigration.
But unfortunately, it's part of the process now. It's part of a...
Crossing
what I'm
illegally?
trying to say... No, like they have to do that. It's like the Cubans when they first came, they had to touch ground, like when they were coming from,
I understand.
So they had to do that. And once they're here, there's a process
but let's forget
to protect
that
them.
Become ask for asylum or not. The whole point is
I understand
immigration,
your point.
right?
But let me tell you something. It is the same government that creates these problems by not streamlining a process which would be better. Because if you ask most immigrants, they're not here to get residency. They're not here to get citizenship to vote. Most people are here to just get me a work permit, make money so I can send back home or just have a driver's license.
So? I think that's changing.
No,
I think most of them are now here to stay.
No. Well, no. If they're promising them, this is the thing. And this is the thing where I think immigration is dividing us Latinos, because a lot of Latinos have felt a very different kind of treatment that some people that come from countries like Venezuela get because of their political asylum, and because the United States has always been this politics where they helped Cubans, where they helped what they deem were socialist communist countries, and they were leaving them. They would
Salvadorians.
So yeah, the TPH or whatever.
HP, así soy yo.
No, TPS, the temporary protected status.
Don't do.
Just shut up right now. What I'm trying to say is that the government creates a monster.
Yeah.
By giving them all these things. Like Venezuelans, I feel bad for them right now because they're being super targeted by a lot of other immigrants and Latinos too, even Colombians that are neighbors, because they come here and they get all kinds of benefits. They get cards to spend money on. They get hotels. They mass transport them to the big cities where they get all kinds of benefits. Why? Why is the government doing this? The government wants votes. They want to create a loyalty to the brand or to the party. Whereas the immigrant typically just wants, I'm talking about the Mexican immigrant and what I'm familiar with.
Okay.
You know, because I've worked with the community for many years. They just want to be able to work.
I agree.
Nobody wanted to vote. They could care less. They were just saving money, 10, 15 years to go back and build a home in Mexico. And everything changes because of the politicians. They are the ones offering all kinds of benefits, and they're the ones offering a road to citizenship so that you can vote. And nobody really wants to, like, they could care less when they're crossing the border. They don't even know who Biden is. They don't know who Trump is. They don't know shit about
who
their
offers what
or anything, or how the United States politics work. They don't know about the parties, the House, the representatives, the three powers.
You'd be surprised that a high percentage of Americans don't know how the politics work.
Well, imagine the immigrants. Menos, like even less. So what I'm trying to say is the government itself creates these problems, and then they try to fix it with things that don't work either. You know, it's like, por donde lo veas, however you see it, from whatever angle you see it, this is all effed up really big. And immigration is going to be an issue, a very important issue for this election. It's going to be a subject of any debate and in between people. Because some people believe, and I do too, it's kind of out of control.
Well, Trump already started it. Again, on Sunday, he was in Ohio, and he literally said that Mexicans are bad. Again.
Because he'd said that before too.
Yeah, that we are criminals. He said before. He said we are rapists and all this other shit. So he started his campaign already with that objective, right? But let's go back for a minute and understand why Trump won against Hillary. Based on these things that he had been saying before.
People said he was a lesser of two evils. And I don't know, with Hillary, she was just not a very charismatic figure. Even within the Democrats or whatever.
Well, let me tell you. Hillary won the popular vote. Okay?
But not the electoral vote.
Not the electoral. And why did Trump win? Why did Trump get so many votes anyway? There's a lot of reasons, but the main thing is that a lot of blue collar Americans
that
Obama put all this Obamacare and all this shit. It made the care very, very high dollar wise.
like the healthcare, like what we were paying. So our insurance, private insurance went up because it was like private insurance was funding the public one, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, what you were paying, if you were paying $300 a month, you were paying $600 a month, something crazy like that.
So it just went up. That was one of the reasons. Another thing is that we were sponsoring I'm the Americans, or taxpayers. Let's put it that way. We, the taxpayers, we were sponsoring a war against terrorism in Afghanistan and Iraq, and it was just
out of control
nonsense. It was just people were just dying there, and there was so much money going through I don't know where. That's when the first time I heard about Hunter Biden, where $30 million were laundry washed, and nobody knew where the hell they were going. So it was a lot of corruption going on there in that war.
It's been forever, though. Once you study
there's nothing new.
Exactly. You study every chance of a presidential candidate, whatever, at every election. There's always a scandal. There's always, I mean, the thing is, I said it last episode. You don't believe it, but some people do believe that the elections have been rigged here since, like someone predetermines who's going to win based on interests that are more maybe international, like G7, conspiracy theories, whatever.
I believe that's what happened this time when Hillary lost. That even though she won the general vote, she still lost because the electoral vote went for Trump. And it had to do with all these things that I'm saying. The Americans were just tired of everything that was going on, right? Immigration was definitely an issue. It's always been an issue, unfortunately. But immigration was an issue. They were actually focusing more on the immigration of people coming from Iran, Syria, and those areas. Not
like terroristic immigration.
But they were coming through the Mexican border, unfortunately.
Honestly, I mean, do they have to come through the Mexican border? It'd be easier to go through the Canadian border if you think about it.
No, but in this case, a lot of them were actually coming through the Mexican border.
I just think they say
it was
that
easier to go. There were some cases.
I just think it's easier through the Canadian, first of all.
Yeah.
Like there's much less, militarization there. And I've actually been to that border and
But Canada has visas.
Well, but
so it's harder to get to Canada than going.
But if you're from Europe and going to Canada has a more open immigration policy. Why? Because it's just kind of hard to live there in some parts that are very.
No, Mexicans need a visa to go to Canada.
I know, but did you know?
So imagine all these other countries.
But do you know that the Canadian government was sponsor any Mexican that wanted to go there? They could. There was a pathway for them to become legal immigrants in Canada. Because they need people. There's certain regions that are very cold, that there's not a whole lot of people. They're not populated. So they were even welcoming. So a lot of people could, through that kind of.
Veronica, that's a whole process. And then some people may not even be able to afford.
And don't you think it's a whole process to try to cross illegally with all the coyotes and with all the things that could go wrong in the Mexican? This is also like a process as well.
But that one's the easiest, unfortunately, in terms of something you can do. Instead of going through the whole, it might take years.
If you have enough money, you can do it through probably tunnels and just... Honestly, yes, there are tunnels.
Okay, let's get back to.
Did you not know?
Yeah, I'm sure El Chapo had tunnels.
Yes,
so
of course.
I'm sure
you just buy land on one side and then on the other side.
Connect them.
Yeah.
Underground.
Ingenio Mexicano. We were talking about that in our last podcast. Mexicans will just figure out how to do it. And I've seen actually, look, I know stories from my home state. It's Tamaulipas, which borders with Texas. I've heard stories of like when someone from Tamaulipas that was well connected wanted to get to the United States without like detection. Let's just say with nobody, not through the roads. There's so many people that own ranches, los ranchos de Tamaulipas. In the north, there's many ranches. And they would get like La Brecha, which is the unofficial road, like just from your ranch land to ranch land. If you're connected, if you know the people that are owners, pasabas, And you could and then at the last ranch, a lot of people said there was a tunnel, whatever, and just go in. I'm just telling you that it's kind of well known if you are connected enough and if you have money to be able to do that. And that way, if there was a roadblock or if there was something going on the main roads, you could do it from ranch to ranch. And it's just how it is.
Well, imagine terrorists coming through that border, coming into Mexico with money to spend, and they could probably purchase themselves a trip to the United States, going through
the best ticket,
this
the best tunnel,
roller coaster, or whatever it is. So, anyways, getting back to the immigration, there's a lot of things that are happening now. Definitely focusing on the south of the border, and all this. Unfortunately, the murder of this Riley teenager just made it worse. And why? Because it's an electoral year. People are going to look into this. People are going to see immigrants as killers, murderers.
Especially because he'd already been detained a couple of times. He was in process through the police, right? Through what he'd done, and that he was still let out. And I think that it's because a lot of these communities where, they don't have the resources to charge everybody. The jails are saturated. They figure, okay, shoplifting, whatever. It's not as big as some other charges. And people are going to be like, well, first of all, they crossed the border illegally. So they're already a criminal. And that's a whole debate, like if immigrants are criminals or not, just by being immigrants and having to go through that process.
Well, this also triggered this new law here in Georgia that's about to pass.
Well, it passed the House. It hasn't passed the other portion of the Senate. And then it's really a law that is here for electoral reasons to appease the people that are super upset about what happened. But in the end, normally local officers cannot have the authority to act as ICE or immigration or federal agents. Immigration is a federal issue, and it has not been proven by law that local enforcement agencies...
It's a bill 1105. All right. So it's just something that they're proposing. We get that part, but let's talk about it. Let's talk about this. I don't know if it's going to make it or not. What you're saying is probably not going to make it.
Even if it makes it, though, there's already lawyers ready to dispute the legality of it.
Okay. But I guess the whole point here is passing this bill, proposing this bill.
Oh, which is to your audio. Yeah. Okay.
Which is targeting specific people, right?
Racial profiling.
It's like, okay, I'm going to determine the police, okay, is going to determine if you look illegal or not. That's fucked up. How do you determine which?
Okay, first of all, let's just say
which
it's a pet peeve of mine. No person is illegal. What they did was illegal. But as a person, you're not illegal. You're undocumented. Because a person cannot be illegal. A person is a person. You know what I'm saying? It cannot be an adjective.
Let's cut through the shit.
No,
let's go straight to
I'm just saying. Because imagine if I'm illegal. No, you're legal. You're a person.
You know what I meant.
I know what you meant, but I'm just trying to educate the raza here. We say undocumented. What you did could have been illegal, but you as a person are not illegal.
Oh, okay.
I care for our people, and we're all immigrants at the end of the day. Even the white cop comes from an immigrant background because this land was made by immigrants. But now I understand there's like a numbers problem right now that we could control, but we don't.
Let's get back to this 1105
the bill. Georgia bill. It's state.
Georgia bill. Okay. So this is going to give power to the police department to arrest anybody that they think that they can just using their imagination or whatever profile, they're gonna be like, okay, are
You
you,
look
this
Mexican.
color or are you more like this color? Let's see. Let's put it right beside your face and determine it. Oh, you're illegal. Yes. Come on, that's fucking stupid. First of all, because they're undocumented people that are Europeans that look straight up white or Asian or something like that. But you're targeting Hispanics.
It's just the Hispanics.
That's a racial
That
thing.
is racial.
People always tell me, oh, you're not using the right terms. Motherfucker, that's racism.
It's racism because there are many undocumented Asians, many undocumented Indians, many undocumented Eastern Europeans that do not get harassed or profiled because they are the right color. And they just imagine, oh, if you're Asian, you came in here with some kind of work visa because you're smart. If you're Indian, we probably, it's just assumptions. So they're saying we're dumb and we're not the right color. But here we are basically sustaining the basic tenets of the economy. What's food picking, agriculture, what's housing, construction, restaurants. It's run like I even tell myself if I go to a fast food place and I don't see Mexicans running the kitchen or whatever, I'm like, damn. I sometimes walk out because I know they're gonna take forever in my order.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's like if there's no Mexicans
You're profiling too.
I am totally just being efficient with my
Right,
time. I'm
it
like,
is.
I don't have 15 minutes for these guys that do not run a Mexican kitchen to
That's
give
kind
me
of
my food.
profiling. You could be a police officer and
No,
apply
I'm
that
just
Georgia
deciding
bill.
where I'm going to eat based on my time for lunch. And if I see Mexicans, I stay.
Oh.
But anyway, no, what I'm trying to say is they are absolutely profiling against
And
Hispanics.
you know what's the bad thing about this bill is that even though some people don't think like this, now that is something that made it to national television, now they start to think about this, about, okay, yeah, maybe immigrants are the issue. You see what I'm saying? Or a issue. So it's
I do
starting to
think-
play with what your thoughts are.
I do think that when you're giving some immigrants money and hotel stays and all these things, it becomes an issue in the sense of the economy. You know where this money is going and why. Why do some immigrants have preferential treatment versus others? And it's making the case with Venezuelans like this, where everybody's like, "Ooh, what the heck? I didn't get any cards. I didn't get like any hotel stays." And then you see a lot of these immigrants creating these videos on TikTok talking about it and kind of like, here I have these things. Well, I'm just saying as a community, we got to be smart and not be saying those things, at least.
Yeah.
Sorry. Got my allergies, the pollen here in Georgia.
Anyways, I think we're gonna end up this episode right here. Since
It's time to shut up. It's a sign from the universe.
yeah, and actually, our production guy put us the time here. And
Oh,
it seems
really?
like we are running out of time.
Okay, well, anyway, going back to Trump and Biden, like, what do you think is going to happen over the course of this just whole process? Do you think people are going to be engaged? Do you think people are so disconnected and so disappointed that in the most powerful country in the world, we have these two very awful options? Do you think people are happy with our options?
I think a lot of people are gonna be happy that Trump is back. A lot of people that I mentioned, like the blue collar, middle class Americans, Caucasians, I think a lot of them do support that idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's you could see it now. For example, in the presidential or the rally that Trump just had in Ohio, there's a lot of people. So, I think.
Did you know more than ever, a minority, the biggest minority, blacks, African Americans, especially the young ones, they are somehow, some way attracted to Trump. he's been getting some of these numbers.
Yeah.
What do you think is happening there?
I think a lot of people are looking back on how he was or the economy was. Unfortunately, I think that's at the end of the day, that's what's going to make the difference. We can talk about immigration and all these other things that are problems to people, but not really for politicians. The real thing is the economy and gaining power in certain things, certain areas of the world. So,
Foreign policy. Normally foreign policy does not determine an election, but I do feel like there is a sense, especially with the young voters, with the people that just turned 18 over the last 4 years, that the world is not as safe anymore. Like we've been getting a lot of like the wars that are happening everywhere. And not that there were not wars before, Afghanistan and Iraq, but somehow there's a feeling of just the world feels unsafe. Would you agree?
yeah, and I think that's what's going to make a difference. We're going to look into our pockets and be like, okay, how much was the gas when Trump was? And even though it's not a fair comparison because throughout the years a lot of things happen, but that's what's going to make a difference. Economy, how things are super high right now.
Inflation.
We just looked into the realtor part. House prices are going up. Interests are going up. Food is expensive as fuck now. So I think that's the key. So whoever has a better plan for that, we already see that Biden hasn't really worked much, hasn't worked well. His administration hasn't worked well on the economy part. So that may be a turning point.
And then, you've got to choose between the economy and numbers and just having a person that a lot of people believe is a criminal, to be.
This is the thing. We know a lot of people that rule are criminals, but we still vote because at the end of the day, it's going to be like, what's good for you? See what I'm saying? So
for your bottom line, for your numbers.
So again, the economy.
I think we knew kind of in the background that they were criminals because how could you get to that position of power without being a corrupt person? But this is what's different with Trump. He's been twice impeached. He has sex abuse lawsuits. He lawsuit for finance, the campaign finance, and he's using some of that money for a sexual assault case, to settle. He wasn't there like he cannot do business in New York for 3 years and owes some hundreds of millions of dollars. So like he has been in so many legal problems and I don't know. The insurrection. So he is looked as a criminal. Not that you imagine that he's got some severe charges against him and some judgments already against him. So it's just kind of like you vote for what seems like a good person, which I don't think Biden is a great person, but what seems to be a better person with morals, or do you vote for what's good for the economy?
And that is the question. So we're gonna leave it right there.
Okay.
Vamos.
What?
No, vámonos.
Oh, vámonos.
It's time to go. Thank you guys. This is Plus AM. This was another episode, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.